What's up, guys, and welcome back to Ribs and Rigs. This is the channel where we trade the daily grind for wood smoke, wild trails, and getting our hands dirty. Whether we're fired up about the smoker with the boys or pointing the rigs off the map to escape the noise, this is where we build it, drive it, and grill it. Today is our weekly sabbatical. We're heading out to clock out, disconnect, take the rigs out for some much needed dirt time. Grab your gear, let's get after it. Today, what we're going to do is we're doing a little bit of preparation for a pretty massive fishing challenge here in the state of good old Missouri. The Missouri Department of Conservation has 3 different programs that are state sponsored and actually come with a bronze, silver, gold type of award structure. And then there's another one that's for lunkers, and it'll give you, out of 4 locations, you capture all 4, then you get a grand slam. So we've got a grand slam and 3 gold medals we're going after. So what we're doing is we're getting some stuff wired up, lined up, checking our lures, figuring out what we like for knots, things like that, because I'm going to be honest with you guys, I am a very novice fisherman, but we're out here to not only start fishing, but we're actually going to take that to the maximum, and we're going to start competing in these Missouri challenges. So if you didn't know, the Blue Ribbon Bass Challenge, the Blue Ribbon Trout Challenge, and the Lunker Challenge are the 3 challenges that are sponsored by Missouri Department of Conservation. Now, these are not just your weekend fishing trips. I mean, sure, you could go to one location, you could fish one sector of the river, you could go hit maybe a few over a weekend or something. Yeah, that all of that's possible, right? Ideal conditions and everything, the fish decide to bite for you, sweet, you're in business. But really, for the most part, let's say we just pick the trout challenge, right? That's going to involve us going to 9 different rivers across Missouri that are not 5 minutes away from each other. So we actually did quite a bit of pre-planning, routing, checked the maps, looked for access points, and then just decided, hey, we're actually just going to make a map. That way, for not only our purposes, it's easier to track and figure out where we're going next and all that. But then in the future, if you guys want to come out and challenge us, sweet, or challenge yourself, even better. That's the way I look at it. Challenge yourself, man. Hopefully we can be there to drive you and motivate you. And ultimately, what we want to do is not only complete all 3 of these challenges, starting with one, then move to the other, move to the final. But we want to do it in a calculated fashion, so much so that we document from the start all the way through the final catch for gold, and then submit all of our catches on record to Missouri to be the first person to document the whole gold trip for all of these categories. So thanks for sticking with us, and let's chat a little more about what we're doing here on this channel. If you've never taken a rig through southern Missouri, you're definitely missing out. We're talking winding, twisting back roads, rolling hills that suddenly drop to surprising rugged mountain terrain and cliffs, waterfalls, crystal clear waters, stretches of historic Highway 66, just absolutely breathtaking scenery. And then once you get there to those amazing spring-fed rivers that hold some of the most aggressive fish in Missouri, I mean, it's a true sight to behold. Again, we made this map, right? We went in, actually mapped out GPS style each point, traced out the locations, and then also gave you guys directions for the most efficient A to B to C through each of those blue ribbon trout locations, as well as for the bass and for the lunkers too. So, you guys feel free to take that, mod it, make it your own, change the colors, change the pins, change the route. You guys might live smack dab in the middle of all of them, right? Different route might make more sense for you. So, again, we take care of our own. We want to give that to you. We're going to drop that later this week on YouTube, X, Rumble, and then my personal Facebook. If you guys actually know me, probably be the easiest place for you to go, but it'll be everywhere. And then we're also going to get that embedded. The goal is eventually to have a website as well for the Ribs and Rigs crew. We do have a Discord where all that stuff is as well. So basically all of those places where you want to find me, find the Ribs and Rigs crew, see what we're up to, what's the next target that we're going after, if it's something fun, sporting, hiking, something like that. Or if we're, doing another, cook-off or cooking challenge or something like that. You'll see on our schedule, and you can keep up to date with us through any of those, various content channels that we have, and try to maintain at least. So the whole goal with coming out here to the lake today, right? I mean, I'm not even fishing a river, right? It's kind of a joke, but hey, at the end of the day, we're also going to be hitting up some, different hatcheries and things like that. So, I mean, amongst all the different places, I guess it's not the most unrealistic, but it's borderline the most unrealistic, I guess, outside of fishing saltwater. But the goal is just to have fun, man. It's a sabbatical. The point of a weekly sabbatical to me is somewhat oxymoronic, right? We throughout our day-to-day lives are encouraged to go plan that vacation, or companies even use the terminology sabbatical, or if you're a teacher, you've obviously heard of a sabbatical. And these things are long sought after extended breaks of time where you can actually take your mind and focus it on something. Pull yourself away from the day to day that you just are constantly up against. You're trying to make your money, you're trying to make your investments, you're trying to make sure your kids are out the door going to school and healthy and safe. You're trying to work out, you're trying to make sure your relationship's good with your wife. You've got all sorts of responsibilities. So at the end of the day, right, a sabbatical is just about separating your mind from your day-to-day life and pulling yourself towards something that you have the ability then to use that utmost focus to seek, pursue, expand your own personal abilities within, and then take your own, abilities to the next level. So I love the idea of a weekly sabbatical like that. Again, just for the play on the words there. Take it and make it something that's more attainable rather than less attainable for the average person, right? I mean, it's going to be a lot easier for you to go out, have fun with yourself or with a couple friends, and just go fishing, go hunting, go shooting, go camping, go hiking, go do something, right? As you get older, you get less and less concerned with jumping back into the soccer field or onto the basketball court or football field or whatever, right? I mean, contact sports are pretty awesome until you hit a certain age in life and you kind of say, hey, I prefer to only make contact where necessary, if you know what I mean. So for me, again, I mean, that's just a long-winded way of saying, hey, man, we came out here, we're learning how to fish. At the same time, we're setting up something to just absolutely go ham on fishing and take it to the next level, jump from 0 to 100 miles an hour and absolutely just annihilate it. So the sabbatical nature of this today is just get my mind focused on fishing, on the mission, and really put myself there in that space wholly for that part of the day. For the first weekly sabbatical, man, it was incredible. The first cast I threw out there, I am not shitting you, it is the biggest fish I have ever had on the end of my line. I say I'm a novice fisherman. I don't go all the time. I know sort of what the hell's going on, but I don't know every in and out about every style of fishing, every jig, rig, lure, bait, you name it, right? I don't know all the terminology. I'm not that guy who's the fishing expert, but man, if you can't go out and figure it out for yourself, dude, you got some bigger problems to worry about. You know what I'm saying? It was wildly successful, man. Met other fishermen out there, just, got to meeting new people is always awesome. It's something that I feel like I'm personally drawn to. Something that really resonates with me is just active listening, man. I look at this too, just not only does an opportunity like this where you're fully separating really give you the ability and the time to pursue those other things, it also lets you disconnect and can reconnect then with your subconscious and maybe figure out the answer to some of those internal strifes that you might be up against. What comes to my mind is obviously politically, right? A big thing for me is not to let this whole entire experience turn into just a venting channel about politics. Now, don't hear that as I don't care about them. That's the farthest thing from the truth. I think everyone and everyone that they know should be involved in politics. So that's you and your family and your circle of influence and your friends, everybody that you have a relationship with. Politics should be important to you because of you and them. And it should be important to you because of the country. Overall, I think both sides of the political aisle, man, we have so much in common. It is crazy. Now, the things that we have that aren't in common, that we differ in opinion on, these are things that often come down to wild policies that are long before our time, long predate us as, me as a 35-year-old millennial. Um, over time, these policies have an effect. And now, even just at 35 years old, you can easily see how some of these policies from 15, 20 years ago, when I'm in the tail end of high school, identifying problems that I at the time see as a problem, and now we're here stuck with the bill looking at problems that for some reason have been able to exist since the initial solution was thrown out there and drawn up, written up, whatever, and signed into whatever type of, if that's an actual law or if that's a regulation, executive order, you name it, right? So anyway, all that to say is we respect politics here, but we want you and anybody involved in the Rigs and Ribs crew to understand that this is not about politics. This is not about that. This is not the environment we are seeking here. However, hey man, I'm a human just like you're a human, and I'm gonna naturally, maybe talk about them from time to time. So if we have differences in opinions, man, again, I encourage you to speak up, speak out about it, and start the conversation, have the conversation, stir up a conversation about something that you're really passionate about, and stick to your guns. Be open to learning, though. Be open to new opinions, new perspectives. Be open to being wrong. I think for me, as a man, this might just be a dude thing, right? When you're wrong about something, there's the initial, okay, sure, okay, well, yeah, let's hear why I'm wrong. But, at the end of the day, you got to be okay being wrong. You got to be okay laughing at yourself. There's just things that you have to understand as a human. We're all humans, right? There's wisdom, there's intelligence, there's stupidity, there's ignorance, there's all sorts of different variables that affect what a person might know at any given time, and what's really true and being preached out there, so to speak, at any given time. So again, I actively encourage you, if you hear something that I ever say, or if you hear something that a Ribs and Rigs crew member says, talk about it, bring it up in chat, say something. Let's be about it and talk about it instead of bitching about it, right? Let's figure out where the differences are, what they are, and quit complaining. Let's get to it, right? So I want to talk to you guys here a little bit about what our schedule is, what we're looking to do here on the show. Obviously I mentioned we're not trying to make this a purely political space by any means, really even slightly apolitical space. However, here we do want some kind of structure, right? So I have some awesome plans for the future, but right now, what I want to do is stick to something that's just outright fun and enjoyable for you guys to participate in, have fun in. So I've got the weekly sabbatical that we talked about. That's not just going to be fishing every time. Currently, yes, we've got some exciting fishing challenges that we're starting this summer. But we want to make that about hunting, shooting, all sorts of cool stuff too. So we're going to have the weekly sabbatical, and then in addition to that, we're going to do a weekly meetup, and that's MEAT, baby. So we're going to be doing all sorts of different cooking styles, cooking methods, right? Smoking, grilling, open fire cooking, all sorts of stuff, you name it, right? We want to talk about what rubs we're using, marinades, all sorts of stuff like that. And then at the end of the day, throughout each of our episodes, we're going to be, doing some funny little segments here, right? Might do, on the political note, a once a week thing toward the end to just kind of have one single 2 minute or less, political quickie, so to speak, right? I think it's generally acceptable for men to grunt and pound their chests together in the same room and just sweat and, run around on all fours like an ape. But anyway, so the last thing I want to leave you guys with is the angle of the dangle hour. So this week's angle of the dangle is going to be aimed at getting off your fat ass and getting out there working out, okay, man? So I don't care who you are, whatever. I am certainly by no means a cross-country runner, but damn it, if I at 230 plus pounds can get out there and run 4 days a week, you bastards can get out there and run 4 days a week as well. So quit bitching about your shape that your body is or what have you. You can't gain muscle, you can't lose fat, blah, blah, blah. Get off your ass and enjoy being a man. That's this week's angle of the dangle. All right, y'all, that's going to be a wrap for today's sabbatical. If you picked up a, new trick from watching me suck acid fishing or just enjoyed the general escape, do me a solid, smash the like button, do all the YouTube things. Please take a look down in the description below. Follow me on the other social media channels. It would mean a ton to me, as I would genuinely like to do this and keep bringing you guys content throughout the rest of my life, and obviously involve you guys in that content. Love you guys. Take it easy.